So Peacemaker Season 2 just finished, and instead of doing a video of it as a review like everybody else is probably doing right now, I would like to talk about why I like this show, and why I think it simply works so well. And before we begin, please consider subscribing. I need more subscribers. And yeah, let's get on with the video. Let me level with you. On paper, Peacemaker shouldn't work. It's a spin-off about a C-list character from the Suicide Squad movie, a violent, emotionally stunted man-child with a bald eagle for best friend and a taste for what some could consider quote-unquote niche music. On paper, this show is too weird, it's too crude, it's too self-aware, and yet it works. This show somehow works. The show is funny, it's heartbreaking, it's stupid, it's offensive, but above all this, it's sincere. And I wholeheartedly believe that the one reason why it works so well, more than anything else, is John Cena. Because, hear me out, what Cena does here is take a character who could have been nothing more than a walking meme and actually turn him into some sort of mirror. Not just for himself, but for the idea of toxic masculinity, for the idea of guilt, for loneliness, and for every desperate people who has the need to be loved in 2025. That's not just acting. In a way, it's art. John Cena doesn't just play Christopher Smith. He completely brings Christopher to life. He makes Peacemaker's contradiction make actual sense in a weird way. Think about it. He's a killer who wants peace. He's an alpha who hates himself. And he is the life of the party who actually hates to be alone. Cena's background, not only as a wrestler, but actually as a human, makes this character work. And it brings this human factor which makes him extremely believable. If you have followed Cena's acting career like I have, before Peacemaker, you know that the guy can perform as a badass action hero, a comedy goof, and for me, the only thing that was missing was the proof that he could go that extra mile, hit those emotional strings. And let me tell you, the guy has it. Cena is so good in this role that at the flick of a switch, he can go from Peacemaker to Chris Smith, the little boy who just wants nothing but his family back, to be loved and accepted by others. In Season 1, we watch the character put on a mask. He hides everything under jokes, dances, and assassinations. But we also see him cry, and we see him try to convince himself that he is actually a hero. In Season 2, the mask that we have seen Christopher wear and slowly slip out fully comes off. And what's underneath ends up being raw, ugly, and actually painfully human. We witness Chris get everything he ever wanted, questionable universe aside, and we don't see him forced to let this go, but instead it gets ripped apart from him. And it's heartbreaking because from his perspective, everything was fine in this universe, again, questionable universe aside, until he showed up, and he fucked things up. And that's why the show works, because under all the chaos, under all the R-rated jokes, and under all the violence, it has some raw honesty behind it. The show has a heart. And to be fair, James Gunn takes all of the credit for this. He's nothing short of a genius. He built Peacemaker in a way only he could, with violence, vulgarity, and in a way, a total disregard for superhero polish. But what separates Peacemaker from other shows trying to be quote-unquote edgy is that every absurd joke and every blood-splattered action scene every pan of the camera has a certain emotional weight behind it. That's because the show understands something vital. Absurdity is part of humanity. Sometimes we joke when we shouldn't, we dance when we're sad, and we say dumb things when we mean something deep. For example, when Chris plays Home Sweet Home in that final episode of Season 1, it's not just a random bit, it's not just for the audience. It's a deeply personal character moment where Chris ends up begging, in a way, for a home, for forgiveness, and for peace. And it's not just our main character, though. One of the smartest things that Peacemaker actually does is surround Chris with people who are just as messy as he is. Think about it. Adebayo is the moral compass who forces him to confront what he has become without truly realizing what she has become herself. Harcourt is the tough exterior hiding similar, if not the same, emotional scars as Chris, who actively deflects and tries to push anyone who approaches him. Vigilante is the comic relief who somehow is both psychotic and loyal, and he actively represents the persona of Peacemaker, this mask that Chris wears. And Economos is the self-deprecating man who, like Chris, is doing his best to matter but continuously drags himself down and has zero sense of self-worth. They are all broken characters, and they all in a way represent a certain aspect of Chris Smith's trauma, and that actually makes them perfect together. And Season 2 expands this dynamic. It slows down some of the grandiose plot and the world-ending threats, and it takes some time to sit in their relationships. And while that pacing is not for everyone, and it did frustrate some viewers, it also gives these characters a lot more room to breathe. Because Peacemaker is not really about aliens, alternate universe ruled by Nazis, or government missions. It's actually a show about broken people trying to get by. Sometimes badly and awkwardly, but in a really honest way. And no, the show is not perfect. There are plenty of flaws. Sometimes the tone whiplash hits too hard. Some of Season 2 feels messy and underdeveloped, and there are jokes that actually undercut emotion just when they're about to land. But in a weird way, it's part of the show's charm. It feels like all of this is intentional. As I said, this show is messy, it's loud, it's self-sabotaging, just like its protagonist. It dares to care about someone who doesn't think he deserves it. And in an age where superhero stories, mostly Marvel, feel over-polished, overplayed, and completely predictable, Peacemaker actually dares to be awkwardly human. And that's why it works. Peacemaker works because, while it's honest about pain, it still finds room for joy. Because it believes that people can change, even if they never really get it right. John Cena's performance makes you feel that. He turns every punchline into a confession, every breakdown into a step toward redemption. And the show doesn't redeem Peacemaker by erasing his past, not at all. It actually redeems him by letting him sit with it and try to be better, even when he thinks he doesn't deserve it. That's why, despite its flaws, Peacemaker as a show stands out. It's not a satire of superhero culture like many of you might believe at first glance. Instead, it's actually a therapy session wrapped in a rock concert wearing red tights. It's proof that sincerity can survive inside absurdity. That the dumbest guy in the room can actually still have the biggest heart. And that sometimes, peace really is worth fighting for. Not necessarily for the world, but for yourself. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, Peacemaker shouldn't work. But it does. Because beneath all of the chaos, all of the violence, all the stupidity, there is truth. And John Cena, against all odds, makes us believe that a man like Christopher Smith can still find peace, one brutal, ridiculous, and heartfelt step at a time. That's not just good television, it's art. Yeah guys, thank you for watching my video. Feel free to check out the videos on screen, check out the Patreon, I promise to start uploading there more. And yeah, just wanted to make this video because I really love Peacemaker, I really love John Cena as an actor, and I'm really loving what James Gunn is doing with the DCEU. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more stuff. I'm gonna make a video on Superman soon. And feel free to hit that like button and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys, see you later, bye!